That's my favorite album of the year so far. Don't see it changing. If it gets topped, I will be so happy. If there's something coming in the year that beats this, yo, that's pretty wild. But yeah, anyway, let's do the...
Internet's new album is called Hive Mind, and unfortunately I think it's one of the most shallow albums of 2018 so far. By no means is it one of the worst albums of the year, but this is a really one-dimensional and surface-level album. Like, honestly, this thing seems to have a complete refusal to do anything really all that inventive throughout its entire 57-minute-long runtime. It's a really uncreative listen, but with that being said, I can't deny there are a few pretty sticky hooks, a few solid bass lines, and generally, it's not unpleasant. You know, I guess you can enjoy it passively. In fact, I would say that's the best context to listen to this album is when you're paying as little attention to it as possible. I think this thing really thrives on the idea of like a pleasant vibe or whatever. The more you pay attention to this album, the more it kind of becomes apparent that there's really not a lot of substance or depth or anything all that exciting really happening with this thing. Like the subject matter of pretty much all these songs, it's pretty basic. Like you have songs like Wanna Be, which like the titular refrain of this track being like, oh, I wanna be more than friends, you know, just wanting to get to know someone, establish a relationship that's deeper than just friends, and you know, that's what that song's about and all that shit. And then you got the song Stay the Night, which is about, you know, a person you like and you want them to stay the night, and it's just, it doesn't really go much deeper than that ever at all. The song Come Over is very much about wanting someone to come over, and Sid's singing it in her kind of delicate, passive, shy sort of voice. That's a bit flat, a bit kind of redundant, you know, she's not really the most versatile singer in the game exactly. Although I do think she does sound great when it comes to just passively singing in the background, some nice little melodies and harmonies and shit. She adds a lot in that context, but when she's at the forefront, you know, trying to give like a really emotive and sensual performance like on that song Come Over, it doesn't really work for me because her voice just naturally, it just sounds really kind of shy and just a bit faceless and just a little bit emotionless to me. So when she's going for these lyrics and she's writing these lyrics that are very emotive and evocative and sensual and personal and introspective and whatnot about how much she's into this person, it just doesn't really sell it for me. I think a song like Next Time is more of where I think she works best. This track dealing with the lyrical idea of, you know, hoping to get to know someone, like are you're seeing this person, but next time you see them, next time is when you're gonna make your move and introduce yourself and all that shit. And it makes sense to hear Sid sing these things because she just sounds very kind of like timid and shy and reserved, you know, so it works pretty nicely in that context. But generally I think her vocals in this thing, they're pleasant, they're nice on songs like Mood. I think the outro of Mood is where she gives her most sonically pleasing performance. I think she sounds wonderful in the end of the song Mood. She sounds lovely on the song Roll Burbank Funk as well. She's just kind of hanging in the background though, but she just works perfectly. The little melodic embellishments she just kind of brings in and peppers in throughout the song and just sound absolutely gorgeous. She has her moments, sure, but generally she's really not that impressive of a singer to me, but she definitely does sound nice, just passively in the background and whatnot. And yeah, there are a few instrumental high points too. I thought La Di Da had a pretty sticky hook, and I thought instrumentally it was pretty jovial and kind of fun. There was a cool little switch up at one point in the second half where like this spoken word guy pops in and he's talking about this girl and how he wants to take her to the bridge, and when he says bridge, some other voice pops in and yells bridge, and then it transitions into the bridge of the song. A nice little just clever, quirky moment, I guess, on the song, and the progression that then comes after that point in the track is genuinely quite rewarding. I think the song Look What You Started is pretty decent. Sid's performance on this track is not too bad. The drums on this thing are really snappy. The percussion is genuinely quite fierce. It just cuts through like a fucking keyboard. Sounds great, sounds satisfying. Yeah, I mean, sonically, the production of this thing is generally quite lush and nice. Like on the opening track, that bass line on that opening song is pretty intimidating, has a nice gruff, sort of provocative tone to it, and then when it gets paired up with those pretty kind of sunny chords later on in the track, and then Sid comes in with her voice too, it makes for a nice contrast. It's a pretty solid opening track in my opinion, but that's about it in regards to like high points on this thing. You know, mostly it's pretty flat, and again, like subject matter wise, this thing is really shallow. Like the song Beat Goes On is about how you want to be with someone and you have a relationship and you want to commit to that relationship and you want to, you know, be there for them when they need you, but you also have to balance that with being a musician. You know, that's what the beat goes on is referring to, I guess. Like, I'm going to be there for you, but hey, man, the beat's got, you know, you got to keep grinding and stay, you know, following your passion and whatnot. And, you know, it's yeah, that's cool, it's something, I guess, but, like, you get the idea pretty quick. It's not exactly the most profound fucking thing in the world. The final track, Hold On, is just a pretty generic sensual ballad entirely dominated by Sid, who again just isn't really that good at sounding genuinely really sensual, and like, you know, again, her range is pretty thin. So ultimately this ends up being a pretty underwhelming close to the album in my opinion. The song Bravo is an absolute train wreck. in my opinion, particularly because of the drum groove on this thing, is just disgusting. It's just abhorrent. The fucking snare is what ruins everything, I think. It is absolutely disgusting. It's just such a horrid snare. Like, it's just so oppressive and constant and frustrating to listen to, and there are so many moments of just empty space where you're hearing nothing but this awkward groove just trudging along with this generic fucking bass line. It just sounds gross. Stay the Night as well is just a totally inessential and dull song with a really obnoxious chorus where Sid just repeats Stay the Night in this monotone delivery, and it's just a bit annoying. And then the song Humble Pie has this, like, little vocal thing that just pops in randomly. Oh, not randomly, it's in, you know, it's in tempo and whatnot, but it just kind of pops up throughout the song. And I found it a little bit irritating personally. Overall, yeah, I didn't really find this thing to be all that impressive. I thought it was pretty middle of the road. I enjoyed it about as much as I hated it. Yeah, I'd say like my distaste for this album and my enjoyment for this album, it's pretty equal, so I'm gonna go with a 5, kind of indifferent towards it. It's listenable, but yeah, it's nothing crazy. I'd actually say I probably preferred Ego Death a little bit more. There were more cuts on Ego Death that had character to them, in my opinion. Songs like Girl, Getaway, Under Control, Special Affair, for example. Those songs prove that Internet are definitely capable of pulling off these really smooth, slick, funky R&B, neo-soul jams, but they can do it with genuine taste and with a personality and create a strong tone around it. But they rarely did that on this particular album. It did have some gorgeous moments too, like I love the instrumental on Next Time, I love the ending of Mood, but I think a 5 is where I'm landing overall, because there were just too many fillery cuts that had no substance at all and just totally padded out the fucking runtime. This thing is 57 minutes long, it feels like 80 minutes long, and yeah, it's just one of the most sluggish and surface level listens I've had this year, and it didn't really result in a very rewarding experience. So yeah, 5 out of 10 for me. Thank you for watching my review. Hope you enjoyed yourself. That is everything. I'll see you later. Bye!